Hi guys, this is Heidi here. Welcome to another Journey Now video. Today I would actually like to discuss with the help of my spirit team the topic of turbulence, what that is and how that is playing out for everyone right now, including myself. So we'll get this video rolling here. I just want to let you know that when I'm speaking of turbulence, I am really wanting to discuss the ups and downs that we are facing here as we're enduring and going through our own ascension process and becoming awake. These emotions that are keeping us at a constant level of up and down, up and down. And I know that this is huge for me right now, playing out in my field, where there seems to be very large emotional bursts of back and forth, just one day feeling really good, one day feeling really bad. And so I wanted to do a video about this and bring in any information that I can get that might help us all who are also experiencing these turbulent emotions existing within ourselves and being shown to us in our environment. So with that being said, let's get started here and see what information we can bring in that might help us all to make this easier as we're going forward with our own process. So let's get in tune. Okay, so what they are immediately wanting to bring forth in relation to this conversation is, again, involving polarities and dualities that exist on the 3D plane. So they're saying that when we come here living these human lives in the 3D plane, this is really what it is. It is a playing field. They call it a playing field, like it's a large game that we're playing and involved with. A playing field of duality and polarity. So they're saying right now there is a huge shift in consciousness occurring on the 3D Earth, which is really transitioning Gaia into 5D spectrum. And they're saying there is a lot of alignment taking place within the star systems, the universe as a whole. And that really does reflect what is going on within Gaia herself. And so when they're speaking of Gaia, of course, for those of you maybe who are unfamiliar, we are speaking of the Earth as a planet, being a conscious entity herself. And so they're saying that not only are these shifts occurring universally, they are occurring within Gaia herself. And when that happens, there is no way to avoid the turbulent emotion that we experience because it is a reflection of where we are sitting. So let's see here. What else have they got to say? So they're really wanting to put some focus here on going inward into ourselves and what that looks like. So they're saying to remember that because we are all connected, when large shifts of consciousness occur universally, we ourselves are going to experience these turbulence. They're going to come up in our own environments. And so they're saying, although we create our own environment, yes, that's true. They're saying that we do give way to the natural flow and ebb of the energy shifts, regardless of our own reflective our own reflective environments that we have created, we must also take into our own perspective the truth that this is occurring on a larger scale. And so there is a constant ebb and flow that we will fall into. So they're saying that anytime a large conscious shift occurs, it is going to play out everywhere. And so this is where they lightly would like to touch upon empaths and the way it looks for empaths. So they're saying that because I am very, very deeply empathic. So when we talk about people who are awake and aware and going through conscious shifts, this means they are aware of the shifts that are occurring. They say that they want me to express that this does not alleviate the turbulence for those who are awake. So what they're saying is there are lots of empathic people who are aware and awake right now and going through their own processes, who are feeling very confused. They're feeling confused because as we are sitting in our own awareness, there comes a point where we are jumping the gun. That's what they're saying. Jumping the gun into understanding that although we may be aware of what's playing out and we may be aware of all the energy shifts occurring and we may be embracing these into our own being, that does not negate our own involvement within these playing out of these up and down energy shifts. So even though we are going in our own directions and ascending, it doesn't mean we're not going to feel the negatives. So that's what they're really trying to say here. And so when a person is in a certain state of consciousness where they are aware of what is happening here, and they feel that they are a source of light for others, they tend to associate that knowledge with themselves being responsible for not feeling the negatives. And they're saying don't do this to yourself because they're saying there will never be a place where we are existing on Earth. And they're saying even in 5D spectrum, there can never be a place where we come down into an incarnation as a human being on the Earth planet where we lose that ability to connect with the negative or the opposing factors of where we stand in the light. So they're saying that what's happening now is with these large shifts that are occurring, we have all these people running around like myself and you that are watching that are aware and awake. And whenever we are feeling a negative pull, it's almost putting us into panic mode because they're saying we thought we were over this. And I mean, when they're saying it, they're amused and not in a rude way. So they are just literally like, they're showing me like a mother with her child tapping their child on the butt in a humorous fashion. They're saying no. They're saying you're never going to reach a place where you are capable of not sensing or feeling or experiencing the other negative parts of the light spectrum or the energy spectrums, because they're saying that was the whole point in coming here, and that will continue to be why people incarnate onto the earth field to begin with, and that will remain. And so they're saying that when we are talking about ascension into 5D Gaia, They want us to be aware. This is interesting because I had never really thought of it in this way. They're wanting us to be aware that polarity and duality will still exist on the 5D plane of Gaia, simply because that's what we are looking for when we're coming here as human beings and just dimensional beings that are existing on the earth field. And this is part of the game that we are playing. And they say in order to negate that experience in our own lives, you really would have to check out, because then there becomes an invalid reason for being here to begin with. If you're saying that you're not going to experience the negative spectrum, then what you're saying is you're not coming to Earth, or you do not wish to be here. So you have to know that coming down here to begin with, we were fully aware and knowing that we had the capabilities to, so they're saying to look at the Earth playing field as a neutralized zone. And that's where the confusion comes in. So they're saying it really has to do with perspective. So although these things exist, the only place that we are finding the aggravation is in not recognizing the neutrality of the playing field. So that's pretty interesting. They're wanting to say that it is a matter of perspective. And when we talk about perspective, they are saying that we are talking about choice. Once again, it comes down to choice. And so when we are living blind and unaware, and we are remaining in a state of almost amnesia or hypnosis, which is not our fault by any means, really what's happening is we're losing our ability, which we were supposed to have coming in. We're losing our ability to recognize the playing field is neutral. And it is a matter of choosing to view the negative occurrences and turbulent emotions, and they're referring it to like when you're meditating. So I don't know how many viewers are familiar with meditation, but I will assume many of you are, or you probably wouldn't be on this channel. They're seeing to really view the playing field of your life and of Earth similar to the way that you view meditation. And when you come in, they want you. It's funny how everything is coming down as games and playing fields. They're wanting you to remain a spectator when you're going into the turbulent emotions. So when triggers are coming and they are making you feel panicked, angry, frustrated, all those things that really reside vibrationally on the lower spectrum, this is when they say you can remove yourself from the playing field. So you can remove yourself from action is what they're saying. And then you can become a spectator or an observer of the triggers and of what is being presented. And they're saying that is really how we play the game. And what's happening right now is because so many of us that are becoming awake, even though we're aware that we must become observers of these triggers. So what they're saying, they really present as triggers. And when they're coming up for you in your life, because we are in a space where we're sitting, where we are literally, our bodies are taking in all these energies of these conscious shifts that are occurring universally within the different star systems. Those are playing out inside of us as well. And so they're saying that once you know this, really take that information and understand that if these large shifts that are occurring outside of us have to be occurring within us as well, because remember, inside of us, that is where everything actually lies. Our true selves, our connections to the universal energies, that's where that resides. So anything happening out here is coming from here, and vice versa. They are simultaneous, is what they're saying. So one can't occur outside without occurring inside. One can't occur inside without occurring outside. So when we are seeing these shifts, really be aware that you need to take an observation standpoint on them. And so this might look like really biting your tongue. That's what they want to say. Bite your tongue sometimes. Don't be so quick to react. It's about being responsible for our own reactions. And people don't like the word responsible, they're saying, because that makes them feel like everything is on them. All the blame is on them. No, they're saying that's not what we mean at all. We just simply mean there is a responsibility on yourself in times where you might lash out or feel angry and confused. There becomes a responsibility when you are aware to contribute to the neutrality of the playing field. In that, we bite our tongues. So maybe sit on it and think on it before you have a reaction. And once you do that and you sit in the spectator seat of your own playing field, you begin to be able to connect lines, timelines, past, present, future. You become able to gain a higher perspective of your own playing field. So it isn't until we have the capability to sit back, choose neutral, and view everything that is occurring, it isn't until we have that capability that we will really release ourselves from the up and down, which is really dualities and polarities that are playing out within, they're showing me within our chakra systems, within our auric fields. That is how multi-layered that duality and polarity is going to play out. And so really to become aware, if you are having triggers that are continuing to look the same, that's what they want to say. If you are finding yourself repeatedly triggered by the same things and you're finding that your reactions are becoming larger, this is because when you raise your own vibration in your body, and as a soul, as you're raising your vibration and you're now going from a place where, for example, you were existing at a 5 out of 10, and that was your reality, and now you've been able to raise your vibration to a place where now you're moving along and you're finding you're bouncing around at a 7 and 8, and suddenly you're yanked back down to a 5 or a 4 or a 3. Your reaction isn't going to be good. It's never going to feel good to come from here down. And so during those moments, take the time to breathe, take the time to reflect, and from those places of observation, you will literally be able to pinpoint now, wait a minute, that trigger has been coming up very frequently. So there needs to be more awareness on that trigger, because what they're saying is if those triggers persist and they become louder, that really is because your vibration has raised to a point where it becomes, they're using the word calculable, to understand that this trigger here right now needs to be looked at in order to continue to sit here. That's very cool. I like that. Okay, so I think we can all work with that. They're saying that when we become responsive in a volatile manner, there are many techniques that we need to pull forward so that our plane ride, they're calling it a plane ride, instead of looking like this with turbulence, because I mean, we've all been on flights where we've had turbulence and it's scary and we don't like it. And wouldn't you prefer a plane ride that was like this and then had a few little bumps? And they're saying it can look like that. It doesn't have to be scary, and it doesn't have to send you into chaos. And the only way to get to a ride that looks like this instead of this is to start to remove those triggers. They're coming up for a reason, and they are becoming louder for a reason. So a good way to move onward when we're finding ourselves stuck in these places, they're saying, number one, don't be hard on yourself. They're saying, don't feel bad for feeling bad. The best way that you can help yourself to go through these transitions is to embrace that feeling bad and that state of being where we're really residing in a place that we no longer want to be. They're saying to take it and look at it and remove it so that now we're up here again, but there's less probability of falling back down the scale because we are removing those triggers specifically so that we can sit up here. And so there's no way to stay elevated sitting up here without those removals. And they're showing it to me like a ladder, where you have all the rungs going up the ladder, and we're climbing up those. The more conscious we become of ourselves, we're climbing up a rung, climbing up a rung. But the lower rungs still exist. So we can step back down. And so they're saying without removal of the triggers, or they can show removal of the lower rungs of the ladder, there's always going to be that ability to descend again. And that is perfectly normal. They're saying we're not telling you not to go back down. We're telling you this will make it easier to come down less often and to come down less violently. That's the way they put it, because it can feel quite violent to be pulled down like that. So really, the point of this conversation they want us to know is no, there is no magic way to just not feel those feelings. There never will be. What they're presenting is tools that can help remove some rungs so that you are not falling so far, so fast, so hard. So that eventually we have a playing field where everybody is playing in neutrality. This is what 5D is about. They're saying playing in neutrality and choosing, but because we are all consciously aware of this choosing and the neutrality, we are all choosing the good side, the good things. We're making decisions that are serving us and serving the collective as a whole. So there's less and less of the choosing into the negative spectrum. And once we all become capable of observing and making these choices, that is when we really hit our 5D realities and Gaia herself as existing in the 5D plane. So that really is the goal here for all of us. So they're saying, number one, again, don't feel bad about feeling bad. Number two, breathe. They say in our cognitive abilities here that we come down with, the one part of our brain is literally designed on fight or flight mode, and we have that predominantly as our guiding system, and that is following the left side of the brain. There's many reasons why that exists with the fight or flight syndrome, but we're trying to really breathe, because when you breathe, there is, I heard this said once, and this is the best way. They want me to reflect back on this. anytime that our brain goes into flight or fight mode, we stop breathing. So they're saying that when we are experiencing negative emotions and feelings and we start to crumble and fall and become desperate, breathe, because breathing is the number one way that we can pull back from that fight or flight mode of existence that we're all living in. So then you become calm enough that you can now sit in the neutral zone and make choices based off of that plane of vibration. So that's a good goal that we can all set forth on. And I myself am really going to embrace this information because I know that I have been being triggered left and right lately. And I have been really grappling with feeling bad about it, because we feel like we've come to a place where we should really supersede any of these negative thoughts and emotions. And they're wanting me to remind you with me saying that as we become more aware and more of us are vibrating on higher levels, they are wanting me to remind you that this is meaning that the existence of the lower vibrations are being put into desperation of their own. So they're really going to fight tooth and nail every bit of it till the last moment that they can't anymore penetrate. So they're saying when we're pulled down, once we hit that bottom rung again, or we go back down to a 2 or a 3 or a 4, all of these parts here residing in the negative vibration, they really come at us like we are a magnet, because they see an invitation now where they can zone in and just cling and keep us there. And that's what they're wanting. And I mean, you can't blame them, because they want, it's, as humans, we want to just say, oh, bad, 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 you're evil, you're no good, you're a demon, you're this. And well, yes, there are truthful aspects to that. I mean, they're saying just remember that. Can you blame them? Because these existences and energies, they're facing extinction on Earth itself. And so any chance they get, they're really going to cling to us and try to keep us there, because that's the only way they can exist. So that's as well, that is what you're seeing playing out, is when you're finding that you're falling to a lower rung and you're falling to those places, you are actually being accosted with negatives, trying to play out their own playing field of the negative. So as long as you know that, there's many ways that you can work at pulling yourself back up. And so don't be hard on yourself, number one. Two, remember to breathe through these times so that you can make conscious decisions on how you're going to react, and verbally, emotionally, physically. What are you going to do when you're sitting here? That becomes a choice. So I think that's very helpful. They're also saying water. Water is very good for neutralizing the playing field. So just have a bath. Just have a shower. Just go sit by a creek, listen to the sound of water. Any of those things are going to help you make a better decision about your own responses to the triggers. But they're saying, remember to do the work, guys. Remember to find out why those triggers are pulling you down so hard and which ones are the loudest. Pick those first. Find out what they are. Go inside, find out why they're coming up, because they're coming up because they're ready to go. And so isn't that a good thing? That's what they're saying. Isn't that cause for reward? They're saying reward yourself, because these triggers are presenting because they're clearing. They're ready for removal. They're ready for transmutation. So again, we can see the duality of that as well. Choose to view these things in the positive aspect, because it's only in viewing everything that we are given in the positive aspect from the heart space that we can actually transmutate all of those things in ourselves that are ready to go. I hope that helps you guys. I feel like that really helped me. Let me know. Even if you want, like, write in. Give me some tips and tricks that you yourself have on that topic. Tell me some of your triggers. We're here. We're a nice, safe place where you can bring to awareness or attention anything you like. We're here to make you feel good. We're doing these videos to help you have a smooth ride. If you have any other videos you would like, I wasn't planning on doing a video on this today. I actually had another one in mind. And again, I do my videos based on their suggestions. I had a huge trigger this morning and I had to go and meditate on it. And what I was really getting was that I was going to do a video reflecting that exact thing that I was experiencing. They were wanting me to know that as well as I was experiencing these things, many of you were as well. And so a helpful video for today, the best way that we could serve was to do a video on turbulence, transitions, emotions, reactions. So that's what we've done. I hope it's helped you all. Love and light. Love you guys. Like, subscribe. Move the love forward. We'll see you on the next video. Bye.